So I walk into the emergency room and the patient's like, "Fuck you, like, I don't want to be here." And I'm like, "Hey man, fuck you. I'm just trying to help. I just work here. Like, it's not my fault. I didn't fucking bring you here." And then then I visibly take a deep breath. I'm like, "Look, dude, my bad. Like, I know you don't want to be here. Like, I know it's not your fault. I know you want to leave. Like, my bad." So you actually match their energy first, and then you ratchet your energy down. It is amazing how consistently that works. Their energy will come down with you. And so I think these kinds of basic like things about, how to like understand who you're talking to. So once you like match their energy and you start bringing things down, then they can enter a more open-minded space. And I think we've talked about this before, where like I'm amazed by like how open-minded people can be. I've worked with people who are homophobic, who are very religious, very anti-religion, believe in one thing, believe in another thing, like whatever. And I'm amazed. Like I have a lot of actually faith in humanity, that when you can get a human being like kind of calm and thinking, like how flexible they really can be, how willing to change they can be.
I go through this a lot of in terms of thinking like, God, people are stupid, to man, people are pretty smart, to people are stupid, to people. And I'm on the people I think are generally actually really smart, but our brain gets shut off. You're using, amygdala and the brain parts, but I'm thinking more like politics or social issues will just shut off parts of people's brains, to where it's inhibiting your ability to think about it. But I'll argue with someone and I'll be like, God, this person was so wrong about, or they're so stupid about like vaccines. But then I'm thinking in the argument, and this person is like rattling off like numbers and quotations from figures online. And it's like, it's not a stupid person. If they just had like, in my mind, I would say different information would be better. But yeah.
Right. So I think this is what's really confusing. So I remember when Donald Trump won the election in 2016, I was in residency at the time, and I trained at Harvard, which is like hyper liberal institution, right? So many people in the residency were really, really upset, and they had a lot of trouble like understanding how people could vote for Donald Trump. Now, I grew up in Texas, so I have a much better insight into like why people would vote for Donald Trump, and I tried to kind of share that perspective. I'm not saying I agree or disagree or whatever, but just sort of representing what I had heard from people that I know. And their capacity to listen just wasn't there. So I think when you're kind of talking about, humans are stupid, humans are smart, humans are stupid, humans are smart, I think there are a couple of lessons that I've learned. The first is that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's not that humans are stupid and humans are smart. It's which parts of the brain are active at a given time. The second thing is that if you think someone has a belief that you think is incredibly stupid, that means that, I don't know how to say this, that means that there has to be something. So if you can't see why someone is doing something, or let me think about a better example.
That happens a lot to me.
Okay, so let's say like I'll use a clinical example. So one time I had a patient who's addicted to heroin,
a very addictive drug.
And the person was like, they were doing really well in life. They were like, before the heroin, were
you don't understand why they're doing it,
or still were married at that point, had kids, had 2 teenage children, very successful professionally. And so like, I was really confused about like, why does this person continue to use heroin? It's wrecking your job. It's wrecking your marriage. It's like destroying your relationship with your children. It's messing up your health. And so like, I don't understand like why you don't stop, right? So the more negatives that I see, what that means is that, and I don't see the positives, but if you see a ton of negatives, then there has to be something even stronger on the positive side for that person to engage in their behavior.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I talk about this, I always try to stress to people that like nobody is ever crazy, or even if somebody is crazy and they seem like they're being irrational, the behavior is never random. There's usually a really good reason. Even for like maladaptive behaviors are not random behaviors. They're maladaptive because they were adaptive to something and they probably work. And it's so funny because people will have like, this guy's such a piece of shit. It's like, well, why? Because every time we get into an argument, he starts screaming and he does this. And it's like, okay, what happens afterwards? Like, well, I just fucking walk out or whatever he wants. Like, like, I don't care anymore. And it's like, sounds to me like he's doing exactly what he should be doing because he's getting what he wants every single time. So it's not actually random at all. It's not crazy at all. It seems like it's working perfectly. So I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that's where like when anytime we're talking about, people who believe really stupid things, there's a lot of emotional charge. And I think that if you think someone believes something incredibly stupid, you need to try extra hard to understand what that is. And what I tend to find also, because human beings are like empathic, is that the harder I try to understand.
I already naturally do that, I think, but it's a great point.
And their point, the harder they will try to understand mine, because generally speaking, we'll mirror, right? If I like walk up to you and I smack you across the face, you will respond to that with like anger and maybe violence or whatever. And if someone says,
not me personally, but like my goal as a pundit is to find all those people and scoop them up and just keep them in my camp. And I'm not trying to challenge them or move them in a direction.
So this is where there were a couple parts of this that really got my attention. And it sounds like Destiny would agree with me that 80 to 90% of people in the country don't know or maybe even don't care about what's going on. And the battle is the other 10 to 20% trying to control that 80 to 90. So it really is. That's what happened in the Civil War. It was really up to a few percentage of people that wanted to go to war. Most people in the South did not, or North. And so the 10% who are paying attention, they're leading it. And Destiny's saying, how do I win that battle of getting them? Because right now, MAGA won from November. So Destiny's like, well, how do we win?
Not me personally, but like my goal as a pundit is to find all those people and scoop them up and just keep them in my camp. And I'm not trying to challenge them or move them in a direction. Yeah, go ahead.
why do you think the goal is not to move them?
Because they're in our camp, and the problem is just like the other side, and the goal is to just like reinforce the thoughts. Like I'm looking to resonate, not to change, but just resonate to keep us all resonating with each other. Yeah.
Why do you think that they're not moving?
I think that they are moving, but I don't think they're moving in challenging directions. I think they're moving in ways that are like satisfying on a more like I don't want to say hedonistic level, but like on a more like,
Okay.
like if I'm going to, my idea would be if I'm going to a coach, I'm going here to be challenged. It's not always going to be like, oh, we're chatting and having fun, and you're just like telling me everything's cool and great, and then I leave and I just feel awesome. Like at some point, I imagine there's going to be some type of like confrontational, like this is a thing I need to work on. I think, yeah, go ahead.
I think that says a lot more about you.
Sure, maybe.
Right. So like as spoken from someone who engages in political argument on the internet as your job.
Sure.
Right. So you're looking for challenge, but I don't think that. I think that says more about you. So
sure. So I look for challenge because I'm awesome. Okay. But I would say that like most political stuff, if you watch it, because I watch a lot of political stuff, obviously, I feel like there's not a lot of challenging content. It's more, this is the enemy. Look at how bad they are. And we're just.
That's how we started the live. I didn't really do that on purpose, but that is literally how we started when we talked about the algorithm.
Going to talk about that the whole time, and that's it. There is no desire to foster any type of growth or movement in the audience. It's my perception. You tell me how I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's just like there's a certain way you're defining movement and growth.
Yeah.
Right. So like I don't know if y'all have ever donated to a politician, but if you ever get on a politician's donor registry, they will hammer you with emails, texts. They're absolutely trying to get you to move in a direction. Right. They don't want to. You donated $10 once. They don't want you to stop there.